Well, hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and we're on episode 32 of March Comes In Like a Lion. And so last episode we had Rei facing Yamazaki, and he ended up winning, which was amazing. But then we had just the end part of him going to find Hina at her school trip, and she's by herself, and him hugging her, and he kissed her forehead, and just I if you know me on this channel, I like shipping, and last week was just like, oh, I'm free to ship now. So I've been talking to a lot of people in the comment section, and we've all been talking about mainly how, at this point, Rei is 18 and Hina is 14. So there is an age difference there, but I think Sarah in the comments a few episodes back, she pointed out something really important, and that's the fact of Rei kind of puts Hina up on a pedestal. He really he thinks that she's just his savior and all this. And that's great. I'm glad he finds her as being someone who's helped him get through a rough patch in his life. But I think Sarah points out a good point of saying that Rei's going to have to, moving forward, when they're older, if they're going to become a couple, you can't necessarily just keep putting people on pedestals. Eventually, you have to recognize, one, that they're human and that they have flaws, but also, communicate and work through that. And I'm sure they will get to that point later, but for now, it's very sweet and it's very romantic, and I'm kind of all here for it. So I'm going to be honest with y'all. When I got home this evening, I was fully prepared. I was like, I'm going to watch March Comes In Like a Lion. I had made up my mind. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'd answered all the comments. I was ready to go. And my internet is out because I'm in the boonies, and of course it is. So luckily, through work, I have a hotspot. Because I do actually, it has gone out when I've needed it for grading. So I'm like, can I have a hotspot to bring home to work on stuff? And they're like, yes, because they had some extras from COVID and nobody was using them. So I'm like, well, I'll use one. So I'm on a hotspot right now. I'm hoping that it will work through this episode, but there may be some patchy editing. So I'm just going to forewarn you. But I wanted to watch this episode all day. And at work, I was like, when I get home, I'm going to watch March Comes In Like a Lion. I'd made up my mind. And so I'm like, I'm going to do it. So that's the goal. But I also want to give a quick shout out over to Patreon, not only to thank all of you who have subscribed on YouTube, but also all of those who have subscribed on Patreon as well, and the philanthropy tier, to thank you all so much for your kindness and your support. So special shout out to Alex Cornejo, to Anime Annie, to Be Happy, to Bryant Reed, to Dana, to Danny Donmai, to Devorin, as well as Destiny Marie, Damage 3245, as well as Danger Zone, Ichu, Eric, Elfreya, Lyndon, Ivan, as well as Spy Show, Ghostly Turnip, Matthew Palfinier, as well as Murphy, Nicholas, Nameless Monster, No Nickname, as well as Shimayama, Sunspots, Trails, and Translucent Men. Thank you all so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. So yeah, I'm just gonna see what this episode brings us. If we can get through the episode, then the discussion part is no problem, but I'm so curious. Now that the match is over and they're on this, and Rei is with Hina, I'm curious what direction it's going to take. If Rei's going to stick around while she's on her trip, if it's going to cut to like after the trip. There's so much that the series can do, and I'm really, really excited about it. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive right into episode 32 of March Comes In Like a Lion. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. And start out with the intro. Of course we do. Why not? Why wouldn't we? I was talking on the Discord about reading the manga versus waiting on season 3. And I know that Shaft probably will not get to season 3 for a while, and hasn't gotten to it for a while. And I know that it would be very tempting to read the manga, but I think this is one of those rare exceptions where the anime does such a good job of adapting it. I don't think I want to ruin it by reading the manga. I think I want to wait and support the anime. So I will probably begrudgingly join you all in the Shaft March hiatus while I wait for season 3. And who knows? They confirmed a Skip and Low for season 2, and people were like, that's not going to happen. So who knows? Maybe a resurgence will happen, and they'll be like, come on, Chef Studios, let's do it. Who knows? because the studio just adapts it so well, and the mangaka appreciates it, so I can wait for that. Uh, it's just so good. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on the manga versus anime right now. Silver Wings. Ooh. Oh, okay. I was like, who's this? Oh. Uh. Oh. Are are you saying that Nikaido doesn't work hard? Uh, I mean, to some extent. Wow, what a realist. Wow. Right. Wow. That's so cool. It's too condensed. With all the hydrangeas. Oh. Him and Shimada would get along great. That deep voice. Feed the birds. With his pigeons. Interesting. Probably for marketability, but... Wow, I can't believe we're getting backstory with him. Oh. Wow, he looks so much older than them. I love the music in the background. Hurry up and become Asian. Everyone says hurry up. Yeah. Like that's so easy. Oh. Bitch! Oh my god, he actually said it. Wow. But that seemed to be a buzzkill. Oh. No. Right, exactly. It doesn't mean anything. Oh, I feel bad for Yamazaki. Oh. Pigeons. Racing pigeons. He's like, don't make fun of my damn birds. Oh. Oh. I'm glad they said amazing. Oh, he's got this strong aura, but inside he's a big softie. Oh. Oh, man. Oh. Back when you had hair. Wow, yeah. And I became obsessed with both. It's a lot like public speaking. In competition, it's very individualistic, so you can kind of control how well you do. Oh. Oh no. Oh. And the bird's flying away. Oh, silver wings. Oh no. Oh God, this is so sad. Oh. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, I want to give him the biggest hug. I want to give him the biggest hug. Oh my gosh, like everybody having their own issues, and these are his. Wow. And like Rei and the storm in the islands, him climbing up the mountain barefoot. Oh, honey. And the water below. Oh, don't jump. No, no. Oh. But is that a metaphor for him just trying to... Oh. Wow. Oh my gosh. It's like he goes deeper into the ocean rather than to another island. It's just his different interpretation. Oh, wow. Hmm. I'm not making any progress. Oh. Wow. Yeah. God, the animation again, Chef Studio, it's so damn good. Oh. Oh, them leaping. Like it's nothing. Oh, but it is to them. And Nikaido's little legs. Nikaido's little body. Oh. And him admiring the two of them. Wow. How he like looks up to them. And they keep on going. I love this version of him interpreting shogi. That's so insane. And so he feels probably even worse because Nikaido technically, I heard he was sick. But his will was stronger than mine. Wow. But that's only because you've made yourself have that self-doubt. Wow. Oh. That face. Oh my God, the expressions. Oh. Oh my God. Wow, that expression. Oh. With the hydrangeas. Shut up. The beautiful bisexual hydrangeas. Oh, and him just like his little arms lifting up. Oh, he doesn't look good there. What a master gardener to get all them. What is he making? Is he making a cornhole? The game cornhole? Oh, is his bird coming back? Oh. Aww. Ah, damn. Shut up. And him having faith, like him keeping having faith. Oh, stop. Oh my God. Oh. That's so damn sweet. Oh. Stop. Oh, bless. Bless. Oh my God. Wow, and this was before this was before Rei. Or no, wait, was it after? It was after. So he's going to go back and face someone else after Rei. Okay, because there was the results from his match with Rei. Oh my God. Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. Oh. Meanwhile, we'll talk about the separation of these moments with that chapter. What a tease for the readers to have to wait a chapter to get back to this. So I came to the river. Like a damn white knight. Like out of a straight romance novel, right? Oh. Yeah. Oh. I'm glad we didn't have to hear that crying again, because that was so visceral. Ah! Yes! And the grandpa and mom were there! Oh! I promised. So eat the ice cream. Oh. Oh, green tea Bavarian cream girl. Oh my God. Oh my God, girl. Oh my God. Ah! I've run out of room. Ah! Just fried mochi. Oh my God, girls. Oh my God. Oh my God. And can we have a to-go box or a to-go tub? Aww. Too much food. Ah! Oh my god. Oh no! Oh no! Ah! They ate so much! Oh my god. Oh my god. Eh. Oh my god. Oh, of course. Yes, it was his fault. Oh my god. No. Why is it my fault? I mean, but y'all didn't have to have all that. A demonic loop! Oh my god! Oh my god! Both of them, they're like, no! This isn't our fault! With the moons and the planets! Oh! Oh! Oh, with Kyoko. Oh. Like in a food coma. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh, shut up. Shut up. Oh. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the two of them running. Oh, come on, that's so cute. Stop. Oh. Thanks to the kid. He knows. He knows! And this is back. Oh. Uh-huh. On those cats find Momo. Shut up. He found me. Oh. So they both know, right? Oh, her with her hair down. She's so pretty. Oh. Oh. Shut up. Right. She's so pretty with her hair down. Shut up. Oh my god. Like, that is so sweet. Spoons. Oh, I thought for a second he was like gonna give her that, and I was like, that's too far, but still. It said that on your itinerary. Oh. Oh, right. He has a good memory from shogi. Yeah. Oh. Oh, it's official, y'all. Shipping that so hard. Yes. Oh my God. I won. Ah! Oh, shut up. That's love. That is love. Mm, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Shut up. Ah. 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 Does not miss. This series does not miss. Oh my God. We're going to go ahead and stop with the ED because it is, as much as I love the ED, the internet is being so laggy. So instead, let's talk about this. Y'all, I will stand by my statement in that this show does not miss. It doesn't miss. This was a perfect episode. What more do you want me to say? End of video. Bye. See you next week. It was just so good. I have a couple thoughts. One, because we're going chapter by chapter like we would be in the manga. I definitely think it's an interesting choice. It's an effective choice, but I think it's an interesting choice to sandwich in between Hina meeting up with Rei and then the aftermath with them going to the store to get the ice cream and the food and everything. I think that sandwiching in that chapter with Yamazaki, you needed to do it there, right? You needed to put it there because otherwise, if you waited too many chapters after that, then it'd be too late to talk about Yamazaki. It was fresh off of that defeat from Rei, so you needed to talk about it then. It made sense that it was where it was, and the whole thing about Silver Wings, we're going to tie that in. Oh my God. But I cannot imagine as a manga reader, if you just witnessed Rei give Hina the little forehead kiss, and then you had to wait until this Yamazaki chapter was over before you went back, I would have been like, ah! But the Yamazaki chapter, oh my God. Oh, I want to give him the biggest hug. I want to give him the biggest hug out of all of them. But before we dive into this episode, I want to very quickly look at the end card, which is of Nikaido looking quite... If this is what Yamazaki imagines Nikaido looking like, okay. He looks so bizarre, but this art style looked very similar to something I'd seen before, and I was like, where have I seen this art style from? I have not watched Parasite yet, but it is on my to-watch list, and I really want to get into Parasite at some point. But this end card is done by the mangaka of Parasite, which is Hitoshi Iwaki, and I think that it's pretty good. I like it, but I definitely want to eventually get into Parasite. I don't know what it's about. I don't want to know what it's about. Don't spoil me, but I've seen like screenshots from Netflix every now and then, and I'm like, that looks like a fun anime. I want to get into that. And so my brother loves Parasite. He's just like, he's like, does the Jack, I mean, anytime I say I might watch Parasite one day, he just the Jack Nicholson meme of like, yes, you should. So it'll probably be on a poll at some point, but I would like to get into Parasite. I think I would enjoy it. But yeah, it's a good end card, but this whole thing with Yamazaki, I did not see coming. And I loved this chapter. Silver Wings might be one of my favorite chapters in the whole series that doesn't involve our main character, Rei. I think it's like one of the best, most like motivationally inspiring chapters of, not that I don't like Shimada and Nikaido. I love Shimada and Nikaido, but this chapter of Yamazaki as a standalone chapter is really good. So his whole thing is going through the phrase, if you believe, then your dream can succeed. What is the actual wording? The original phrase is, if you believe, your dream will come true. And he's like, that's far too simple. Which, yeah, he's like, if you believe, your dream will come true. He's like, that's very idealistic. It's not very realistic. He's like, you could expand it to say, well, that's probably true, but, you know, one part is missing. If you believe and you keep working hard, you know, if you add that in there, then your dream will come true. But even that's too simplistic. And as Nikaido falls down on his board, he's like, that's the correct one. And it's more likely to say, he's like, I could even go on further. As he frowns, says, if you believe and work hard at it every day for even an hour longer than all of your rivals, then there's a good chance your dream will come true to some extent. So I love the realism there, where he's like, if you believe your dream will come true, he's like, no, that's not enough. He's like, even saying working hard, he's like, that's so subjective. He's like, you could work harder than everyone else in the room, and you could keep working hard every single day, but it's not a guarantee that your dream is going to come true. It might, to an extent, but you don't know when or if or how. So then the question becomes kind of like Shimada. Shimada had the same kind of realization. He's like, do I give up and go back to the village and get married and have a kid and just farm and not play shogi anymore? Or do I follow my obsession and my dream and keep working at it, even if I know there's a chance it may never come true? And Yamazaki's kind of having that same crisis of saying, I've been playing for 6 years and I've hit a wall. What do I do? And that's really hard because, yeah, success is, and that's it's so motivating because, you know, whether you're creating content or whether you're, you know, working on a book or whether you're trying to like work up the corporate ladder, you hit walls a lot and they can be very frustrating. And it's like, do you keep going or do you give up? And I can definitely relate to Yamazaki, where when you feel like you're stagnant, and you're not really going anywhere, it can be unnerving and it can be demotivating, and it can feel, you know, when you see the accolades of others, it can be very tempting to feel jealous. It can be very tempting to be envious. It can also be tempting to be like, well, I'll just work harder than them and that's all it'll take. And that's not true at all. You know, you can't just say I'm working harder than them, I deserve more, because one, you don't know how your work compares with others. And two, the real world is subjective. It's not like that. It's not a formula where if A works harder than B, it will get more rewards than B. And that's not always the case. And you can't control that. And so it can be very disheartening when you feel like the wheels are spinning and you're not going anywhere. But then it becomes a question of, is your dream worth it? And also to kind of say, like, is it going to get better? Yes, probably. If you just don't give up, right? So I love the idea. He's like, the shorter version works better as a catchphrase, right? Because it's easier to say and it's easier to remember. He's like, but it's too abridged. I love the fact that he grows the hydrangeas. I love they're all the colors. They're like the red, the purple, the blue. I watched Buddy Daddies, and in that episode, the reason why I said bisexual hydrangeas, in that episode of Buddy Daddies, there's a character, and I personally think he's very coded to be bisexual in the series. It's very heavy laden with subtext. But one of them is that at the point where he's literally told by his, you know, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Go watch Buddy Daddies. It's actually really cute. But he's, you know, this one girl, she's like, you know, maybe you could move forward and find a new dream or a new relationship, kind of hinting that he could get in a relationship with somebody that he's working with. And that person happens to be a man. So it's like he was married, but now there's a chance of him. Anyway, there's all these hydrangeas around him during this scene, and they're the color of the bisexual flag. So I was like, oh, it's bisexual hydrangeas, the symbolism. And And then some people got uppity about it, and so now I just say it just to spite them from afar. But I do love, I tried to grow hydrangeas this summer. They require a lot of water and a lot of work, and I am not good with either when it comes to gardening. Anyway, I scorched my hydrangea plant. It died instantly. I'm going to try again next year, but again, but I do love that he has this garden and then his racer pigeons. His racer pigeons. He's like, you don't have to do anything but believe and your dream will come true. He's like, I'd like to ask whoever chopped it down to the short length what they were thinking when they did it. And then, so, Yamazaki, I really misjudged him because I assumed, one, he was a lot older when we met him, a lot more serious, and he is a very stoic person, but he's so emotionally vulnerable and so just kind-hearted and sincere, and he has this tough exterior that seems scary, but he's kind of like Ione from Haikyuu that looks like super, super scary, but he's like a teddy bear inside. And I love that the mangaka is not afraid to show male characters who have a lot of emotion underneath, who are vulnerable, and who express that in different ways. Because it's, in so many series I've read, there's a lot of toxic masculinity. And here it's like, no, they're human just like anybody else. They can express their emotions and show how fragile they are. And that doesn't make them weak or anything. It actually reveals some of their inner strength. And I think that that's definitely shown with Yamazaki here. Also, bless his heart, he may be in his like mid-20s, but the aging genetics on his family side, they have not done him good service. Because he looks so old. He looks so much older. He looks like he's in his 40s when I'm sure he's like, well, he has to be under 26 to be in the tournament. So, and then he's surrounded by all these guys who I'm sure he grew up with and who all have the salaryman jobs, and they all look legit in their 20s. And then here's Yamazaki, who's hardened by farm work and shogi. Shogi ages you like 20 years instantly, right? Go ask Shimada. Go ask Goto. But what he's saying here is so relatable. When he's having the dinner with them and they're like, oh, well, where are you at? And they're like, we don't know what that means. But he's like, do professional shogi players make a lot of money? They're like, are you going to be famous and be on TV? Just hurry up and become a master. Like, it's hard. And for him to just sit there and take it. And there were so many things I thought about during this. One, the idea that these four guys surrounding Yamazaki are kind of like the inverse of the four old men that are around Shimada. Like Shimada, the four old men that taught him how to play, they know the shogi world. They may not know it professionally, but they've watched enough. They know the culture. They know the game to know how serious it is and important it is that Shimada's being a professional. So they're kind of, they come from an aspect, an avenue of support to really give Shimada like the motivation to keep going. These guys are kind of the inverse of that, where they're completely outside of the arena. They have no clue how the game is played. They have no clue. They just assume, oh, these are the stereotypes we've heard, so just become a master. It's not hard. You've been at it for 6 years. Why haven't you accomplished it yet? And God, there's so much that's relatable about that. I remember, in high school, I wanted to write a novel that was published, and my parents, they'd always be like, oh yeah, you publish your novel and get us a condo down on the beach with all your money that you make. The reality is, one, authors don't make a whole lot unless you're like Stephen King or R.L. Stine that's wrote hundreds of books and, did it that way. But also, being an author is not instant glam. It's not, not everybody can be an overnight, sensation as an author. So the way that they kind of like chide him about it, I totally understand, where they're like, well, just go write that novel. It's like, sure. Yeah. It seems easy at first, but that's not the case. And I feel for Yamazaki because he's like, every time I go to the gathering, I always get asked these same questions. And I like that he fires back. He's like, well, aren't you a manager? How much do you make? Why don't you hurry up and become a section chief or a CEO? Why don't you hurry up and do that? It can't be hard, right? I like that he wants to fire back and just spit it back in their faces, being like, don't mock me. I don't mock you. But then he's like, they don't get it. What good does it do? And he's like, I could tell them the truth, but then I'd bring down the mood and be a buzzkill. So instead, I just silently take it. He's like, I just, I don't want them to know about it. So I just sit here as a foil and when he says the phrase, take the minor sting from their questions. Oh, that line where he's like, I can just, I just take it. I just grin and bear it. That just cuts to the core of me. Like, I want to give him the biggest hug. I want to give him the biggest hug because he just puts up with so much. And then they're like, oh, well, you've got your pigeons, and like, shogi and pigeons, you're such an enthusiast, Junkei. And at that point, that's when it gets too personal. Because he's like, you can mock me with shogi because that's my own thing. But he's like, pigeons were my grandpa's thing. And he's like, that's personal. And also at this point, he'd lost Silver, or Geen. I love that it's Geen. And so he was feeling bad about that. And so he's just like, that's too much. Also, when he stands up, a big burly ass man. And those salary guys are like, oh God. But I do like that they don't make fun of him after they leave, except the one guy says he's scary. The rest of them say that he's just amazing and talk about how strong he is. The one guy says he's an oddball, but... So his grandfather also liked shogi and got him into that and racing pigeons, and shows him taking care of all of them. And with shogi, the more effort you put in, the better the results. And with pigeons, the more love and care you give them, the more they respond. And I became obsessed with both. Yeah, so I totally understand that. Like, I showed cattle when I was, which is not the same as racing pigeons, but it's that same thing. Like, the more you work with, a cow or a goat or whatever you show, the more they will respond to you and the more you get out of it. And then with speech, I've talked about this in previous episodes. I feel like speech and shogi have so much in common because there is like a sense of personal, and you're competing on a team with other people that are doing the same thing you're doing, but speech is very individual in how, even though you're as a team collectively, you are responsible for your own success. Your teammate is not reliant upon you. So the good thing about speech is, and I tell the students that I coach this, whatever you put in is going to contribute to what you get out of it. So if you practice and you refine and you get everything, and you memorize and you get everything, and you perfect it how you want it, then that's the best you can do. And there is a subjective angle to the judging because at the end of the day, it's judge's preference, but typically there is a rubric for what makes a good speech. And if you find a way to adhere to that rubric, it's hard to kind of deny you. If you're I always tell students, I'm like, be undeniable. If you're undeniable and they have no reason to mark you down, then you've probably won the round. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of diligence, but it's very much what you put into it is what you're going to get out. And obviously, like shogi, there's going to be pitfalls, there's going to be hurdles, but it is something that you kind of can control what you get out of it. Except now Yamazaki is like, it's slipping through my fingers. And then I felt so bad when he talked about, not the fact that he got demoted, like that part was sad enough, but then he talked about his racing pigeon, Silver, Geen, his favorite racer, who he put his heart into raising, had disappeared. And when he talks about, like, he's like, did a falcon get him? Was it the weather? Was he weak? And then the line he says, just imagine it lying wounded and suffering somewhere, filled me with and made me overcome with grief. I was like, oh, damn. No, it's just that vulnerability and being able to like acknowledge your grief and acknowledge your sadness was something so beautiful with his character. And I wasn't expecting any of this. So then we have the metaphor of him playing shogi. I think it's so neat that each of the characters so far have their own metaphor for shogi. Like Shimada's the bus. And you get on the bus, you get off the bus. That's his metaphor. And then his whole thing is, I'm on an endless train, an endless bus that never goes anywhere else. And that's his frustration. With Rei, it's the idea of, I'm on an island. I could stay on the island, but to get to the next island that's better, you have to cross all of these turbulent waters. And there's a chance you could drown. And that's his metaphor. And then for Yamazaki, the metaphor is like diving off a cliff into the water. And at the bottom of the ocean is the potential to find the treasure. And the treasure is your success. But every time you dive in the ocean, there's no guarantee. Like starting a shogi game is like diving into the ocean. You don't know what you're going to get. And you might fail. But then what do? You either go back and dive again, or you give up and you stay on shore. And so I love the metaphor of not only him diving and not finding the treasure, but seeing Nikaido and Rei be inspiration to him. He's like, they dive off like it's nothing. And when they don't find anything, they go back again. And the crazy thing is, I'm like, Yamazaki's doing the same thing that they are. He just believes that they're better at it than him. And I'm like, that's not necessarily the case. It's just crazy how he psychs himself out in this moment because he doesn't see himself being as motivated or as encouraged with one another as Rei and Nikaido are. It's kind of crazy. He's like, they're unconcerned with anguish. And then he's like, but I'm, sometimes too afraid to dive back in. Terror has won out and left me behind. And that moment, oh my God, when he talks about not only his face of being like terrified, like his face being so scared and not being able to jump back in, but when he goes to face Nikaido, that whole monologue where he's like, I heard he was sick. That whole scene, it was incredible. He's like, I heard that he was sick, but I knew his will was much stronger than mine. So all he could do was hold out, which goes back to what Rei was talking about in the last episode. He's like, well, how dare he just hold out? And I like that this series, Rei was so mad at him last episode, and you kind of were like, yeah, what a jerk. But then what this series does so well is that it gives you the other side of the story. It gives you the other character's perspective and where they're coming from. And then suddenly it's like, oh, that's what it is. And so you kind of have to see it from a different way. And then he sits down there to play Nikaido, and it shows he's like, and he was someone who would go much further than me. Like, the way that he just automatically views Nikaido as someone better than him, insane. So then, when he's like, he doesn't know what to do, and he's like, at that moment, they're like, there has been a threefold repetition, meaning that a new game will begin in 30 minutes, meaning like it's going to be a stalemate if we don't fix this. That look on Nikaido's face, Shaft, there's 1,000 emotions. It felt almost like the Bungo Stray Dogs. Like there's a meme with Bone Studio and Bungo Stray Dogs of like every time like a character, like it zooms in on a character face and their eyes get all wonky. It's like, oh, shit's about to go down. It's happened in Neon Genesis Evangelion too, so it's not just a Bone Studio thing. But that moment, that was Nikaido's fishbowl eye moment where there's just desperation, there's anger, there's frustration. And then he looks up. And that smile that Nikaido gives with his eyes completely worn out, like that bloodshot, like that is haunting. Haunting. I would have peed my pants if I'd had faced that smile and then the next move he falls over. I'd be like, that's it. He's dead. That is just chilling. And Yamazaki's like, he smiled. Like, in that moment, even though the odds were stacked against him, Nikaido was going to try to get out of it. He's like, I'm going to try to make a move. And then he passed out. And it's like, son of a bitch. And I'm sure Yamazaki's like, he would have beat me. Probably. And so going in against Rei and having that same thing happen. And so, of course, I wanted to go back to the world they were in once more. I love that moment where he's like, that smile made me realize that this guy is barely moving and still fighting. He's like, I want to go. I don't want to give up on this world yet. If they're not giving up, I'm not giving up. Oh my God. And then he leaves the hydrangeas with Nikaido. Oh, he's like, that idiot. And then the scene where Gin comes back. And, comes back and he's like, well, beat me next time then. And when he, flies back to him, oh my God, that was so, so adorable. And he, puts him in the little box with the food and everything. Oh, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. I'm so just in love with it. You'll be able to stretch your wings and fly. I'm going to do my best tomorrow. So then he says that, he's like, He says, I'm going to do my best. Let's make it a race to see who flies first. And we have the tournament results of Rei versus him. And Rei is fifth dan. And oh, so Rei versus Takashi. Okay. So this was right before he faced Rei. Oh, wow. Okay. Because I thought for a second it was the final score, but no, this was the semifinals. Well, now I'm like, dude, which I'm sure Yamazaki will be okay, but it's like this was right before he faced Rei, and then Rei beat him. The good news is, I think, especially now that it has Gin back, I think the interesting thing will be that he will keep on moving forward, even if even after he's lost that one match, right? But that's just that's so good. So then we go back to the river scene where she sees Rei. And then he takes them out to eat at the restaurant. He's like, well, the sweet shop. He's like, I'll buy you all food because I won the match. And then, of course, they buy, like, everything. They buy all the food, all the udon, all the fried mochi, all the ice cream, everything. And so it's like, oh, my God. It's really cute. I thought that was a really, really cute scene. And then they're two passed out. Now, someone had noted in the comments back a few episodes ago that Akari might be worried about her weight. And she does seem like she's worried in this one about not being able to fit into the bartender outfit and her aunt being mad at her. And her aunt's gotten onto her about her weight. The thing that sucks about that is that she's not heavy set at all. And I know Japanese standards are different, but I just, as someone that has body dysmorphia and has had stints with an eating disorder, I'm like, I hate it. I hate body standards. I hate how our society pushes rail thin people, even if it's not healthy, because it's often not. And it's so sad. I think that as long as you're healthy, it's fine. And that will vary from body to body. So I hate body images where it's like, she's not skinny enough. And I'm like, she's also got big boobs. Women with big boobs usually are not skinny. That the proportions just don't work. They're not Jessica Rabbit. So I hope that while I think this mangaka could talk about body image because she's a female writer, I do hope that maybe that's going to be Akari's source of angst since it's mainly focused on Hina and Rei, but I at least have faith this mangaka will deal with such a topic in a smart and mindful way. Mindful and demure. But damn, poor Rei and the grandpa, they're like, these women eating us out of house and home. Rei at this point is part of that family. It's done. It's set in stone. It's there. The grandpa and Akari, when Rei and Hina decide to run home with Momo to try to get her to use the bathroom. I also like how real quick, as they're talking about, them being like, this is all your fault. You got us to eat all of this. And the planets are going by along with the food. And the grandpa's like, this is just like my wife and Mikako would say something like that too. And then Rei's like, yeah, he thinks of Kyoko. And she's like, well, the taste keeps changing. I can't stop. How could you? He's like, no, this sounds like Kyoko. This actually is relatable. I've heard something like that before too. So then, as they're walking away, I love that Rei offers to pick Momo up because he's not stuffed like the two of them. Which is a thing. My brother works as a security guard at a hospital, and he has to, he's a big guy, so he helps lift people into, the helicopters to get airlifted to a bigger hospital if it's needed, if it's a big emergency. And there's been several times where there was a local Chinese restaurant. I'd be like, I'll bring you Chinese food for your shift. And he's like, no. And I was like, why not? It's really good. He's like, if I eat all that, I'm not going to be able to lift anybody up. I'll be too full. And I was like, oh. And it never really hit me that was a thing. So when Akari says that about Momo, I'm like, oh, yeah, that kind of checks out. But Rei offering to pick her up. And then when him and Hina run back and they're trailing behind, and the grandpa and Akari noting that she's smiling. And he's like, it's thanks to that kid. And then we flash back to her coming back from the trip and talking about seeing Rei and how excited she was. And the look on the grandpa and Akari's face when she first runs in, and they're like, they were expecting it to be like doom and gloom, and it's not. And they're like, oh, it's okay. And then I'm sorry, but her eating, like the moment on the river side with her and Rei is like, it's perfectly romantic. It's the most perfect romantic scene. And it's so simple. Like her with her hair down she's beautiful. Like Hina's always been pretty as a character, but her with her hair down is gorgeous. Like it makes her look so much more mature, and she's so pretty. And then, she puts the flirtiness of her putting on his glasses, and then he's like, well, then let's not if it's going to make you feel bad. And then he's like, you've got this jacket on, which is his jacket, so nobody's going to question that it's you. And then he gives her the pudding. Like, he's like, well, I thought your stomach might hurt, so I brought you all this food. What else do you want? I don't know. And then they just eat together and have this great moment. And he just shows how thoughtful and caring he is. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, it just, this them by the riverside and how happy she was. I love it so much. And I just love just them together. Like, it's so perfect. Obviously, she's 14, he's 18. She's got to, grow up before anything serious happens. But just the relationship building between the two of them is so perfect. And it's so romantic. And I need it. So, yeah. And then as they see her, she's like, I'm happy for you, Hina. As Akari watches her walk away. She's like, you got your medicine after all. So yeah, Akari and the grandpa know. They're like, yeah. They're like, mm-hmm. Yep. She's like, she's going to be fine. And I don't think even Rei or Hina truly know what they have yet. But, oh, it's perfect. That was such a perfect episode. There's nothing wrong with that episode at all. I've nothing bad to say at all. Not one bit. So yeah, I'm glad that we're moving forward. I'm glad that Hina has Rei, and he just has to be there. That's all he needs from her, or all she needs from him. And I'm glad that Akari and the grandpa kind of know like what he represents to her. So, so much. And I love getting Yamazaki backstory. I didn't expect it, but it is welcome. So, anyway, I'm super excited to hear your thoughts down below. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'm back real soon with episode 33 of March Comes In Like a Lion. Bye!